Welcome to another edition of HorseCenter, everyone. I am Brian Zipsy, and as always, I have the fantastic pleasure of being joined by my co-host to the East Coast. That's Matt Shipman. How are you today, Matt?
I'm good, Brian. It's great to be back with you at HorseCenter on just 3 days rest, but I think we can handle it.
We're coming back on short rest, Matt. It's Christmas in a few days. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays here from HorseCenter. We wanted to do this show in preparation for a huge day, Matt. It's Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's, opening day at Santa Anita. What a week or two we have going on right now. And opening day at Santa Anita is always a big deal, whether you call it the start of the next season or the finish of the old season. It's always a fantastic card. This year, certainly that's true. Oh my. You know why I'm saying oh my, don't you?
Oh my, I certainly do, Brian.
Yeah, we lost a couple of important people in the industry or sports as a whole this week. Leroy Jolly. When I was a young guy growing up following the horses, not many trainers had more top horses than Leroy Jolly did. Honest pleasure, foolish pleasure, genuine risk, and the list went on. But especially in the mid to late 70s, early 80s, Jolly was as big a name in the sport as there was. Dick Enberg, Matt, Wimbledon, NCAA Tournament Final Four, NFL football, and even early on in the Breeders' Cup. I mean, Dick Enberg was my favorite announcer, and both passed away this week.
Yeah, Leroy Jolly was one of the first television trainer stars for that few years in there, and he had a terrific career. And like you said, Dick Enberg, there was nothing controversial about him, but he did everything just so perfectly.
That's right. Dick Enberg was one of the greats of sports television, and both will be sorely missed. Rest in peace, Dick Enberg and Leroy Jolly. Now, Matt, let's get back to business. What we're talking about today is opening day at Santa Anita. 4 graded stakes, Matt. There's 2 grade 2 races. There's 2 grade 1 races. They run as the 3rd race at Santa Anita. We're talking about Tuesday, December 26th, the day after Christmas, the 3rd race, the 6th race, the 7th race, and the 8th race. We're going to start with the 3rd. We're going to go in order, Matt. Only makes sense that we go in order. And the 3rd race is the San Antonio, which was run only about 10 months ago, but I think they're switching it to be more of a Pegasus prep. Stronach owns both Gulfstream Park and Santa Anita. So this is Santa Anita's version of the Pegasus prep. And we have a heavy favorite running in the San Antonio on Tuesday, Matt.
Yep, no doubt. There's it's a good field, some big name horses, but the headliner in there is Collected. I don't know about you, Brian. I was a little surprised to see him having a prep heading to the Pegasus with Baffert preparing his horses without prep races in the last half of the year. So I was a little surprised, but yeah, Collected off of his great run, his great 2nd place in the Breeders' Cup Classic behind Gunrunner. And before that, if we remember, he had 4 wins in a row. So he's going to be a big favorite in there.
Yeah, Collected probably will be odds of 3 to 5 or so. As you mentioned, it is a pretty strong field in that there's really little as far as weak links. It's not a big field. But the other horses in the race all have things to like, and taking a shot as we like to do, or as I'm prone to do for sure, Matt. Collected at odds on, maybe there are some horses here that could give him a run. As you mentioned, his race in the Breeders' Cup Classic I'll admit it was better than I thought he would do, and that's even coming off a Pacific Classic win. So obviously, in 2017, especially, Collected has verified himself as a really top older horse and a true grade 1 horse. Now, looking at the field, horses like Top of the Game, who like Collected, they're both 4 for 4 at Santa Anita. Prime Attraction, Giant Expectations, Accelerate. All those horses have a little bit of speed. They're not always on the lead, but they generally want to be on or near the pace. That makes it a little bit more interesting as far as race setup, and maybe gives hope to beating that heavy favorite.
And you know, you can never count out the veteran warrior Opportunity, who's in here and came back with a nice solid third place run in the Clark. And with his record of 7 wins and $4.5 million, and he makes a closing move, Brian, never can count out Opportunity.
Yeah, Opportunity will be my top pick, and my top pick is based a little bit on the odds because I know Collected's going to be so low, and I'm not sure if Opportunity is the second choice or the third choice or whatever. I imagine he'll get some play. But with the other horses that I mentioned, all being more speedy types, or at least presser types, it does lend itself to an opportunity on Opportunity. It's a mile 16th race, but it's a track that he loves. So if the pace is pretty fast, he's the horse that I think most benefits from it. Santa Anita, he's done some of his best things here at Santa Anita. 2 races back since the Dubai World Cup. The first one, top of the game, beat him, but it was a solid rally for second. And then, yeah, I was there at Clark Day, and he ran a strong race, rallying nicely through the stretch, through the entire Churchill down stretch. So if it's a strong pace, if Collected is 1 to 2, 3 to 5, why not take a shot with Opportunity in here? But top of the game, seems like a horse who's really gotten good lately, loves Santa Anita, prime attraction, has never been better. He switched off of turf after some good turf efforts, won the Native Diver nicely. And even Giant Expectations and Accelerate are graded stakes horses who really didn't have things go their way on Breeders' Cup Day. They both broke poorly, were too far out of it, and never really ran. But wouldn't be surprised to see any of those run a big race on Tuesday at Santa Anita.
And we also have to take into consideration that for Collected, obviously the Pegasus is the big goal. So we can't be sure to what degree Baffert will have Collected cranked up for the San Antonio.
That's right. That's a good point, Matt. I wonder, you know, if it happens the way I'm kind of hoping it happens here, where Opportunity runs by Collected in the stretch, if we'll see another disappointed Baffert, where his big horse goes down into defeat to his second horse. But I don't think so. Opportunity's been a horse he's liked. He's about to be 7 years old, and he's not a world beater, but he's been a consistently good horse. And like we said, Santa Anita, if he gets some pace, look out for Opportunity. Matt, the next graded stakes on the card, as I mentioned, is the 6th. It's the turf race. It's 3-year-olds going 1 mile on the turf in the Grade 2 Mathis Brothers Mile, $200,000. And there are no superstars in this race for sure, but we have a bunch of nice turf 3-year-olds. And again, possibly some opportunity at some odds in here. What are you thinking so far?
Yeah, I think that's true. And just as a note to the bettors, this is the Mathis Brothers, the 6th race, does kick off pick 4 that has 3 of the graded stakes and ends with an allowance race in the 9th. But like you said, I think there's going to be a big favorite in here again. Probably it's going to be Big Score in here, who has the best resume, has won graded stakes races before. The rest of the field, like you said, Brian, is pretty evenly matched, is a lot of horses that are taking a shot here, looking for their first graded stakes win, but a number of horses who are in pretty good form and have a chance, keeping in mind that Big Score, his last win was in the spring at Keeneland, and he runs well every race, but hasn't been able to get to the winner's circle in the grade 1s and grade 2s in which he's been competing lately.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Matt. Big Score, you know, we're not talking about collected kind of money. He's not going to be odds on in here, but I think he deserves to be certainly favored. It'll be interesting to see how low he is, because he's a horse who has lost his last 6 races. He's been running well in graded stakes races on turf. Interestingly, he's beaten some of these horses before, especially Bowie's Hero, who I think has a big shot in here. Big Score's actually beaten him 3 straight times. Each time it was competitive. Each time Big Score, you know, rallied strongly home and got a piece, whether it be second or in the picture. But he didn't win any of those races, and maybe he's one of those type of horses that just doesn't really want to win that badly. So I think it's interesting, even having beating Bowie's Hero 3 straight times, I could certainly see Bowie's Hero turning the tables on him in here. One reason is maybe Big Score doesn't want to win, but also a mile, I think, is a real good distance for Bowie's Hero. This is a 3-time stakes winner at the distance of a mile, and a mile is a distance that's a little different than a mile and 1/8 or a mile 16th. So throw in those two factors, I think Bowie's Hero has a good shot to beat him, even though Big Score's beaten him in 3 straight. Colonist still lightly raced. They actually ran 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Big Score, Bowie's Hero, and Colonist in the Del Mar Derby in late summer, and Colonist hasn't run since, so he's a horse I think that could pop up. Harbor Master looks better than ever. And then we got to talk about the 2 horses on the rail map, because all the horses we were just talking about are horses that do like to rally to some extent. But the 2 horses on the rail, Croy coming from Florida, and then B Squared, who's been sprinting of late, both figure to be the horses that are setting the pace or contesting the pace.
And those kind of horses can be tricky in that mile distance that you talked about, Brian, particularly when they've got the rail and they should be able to have a perfect trip, and when all of those other horses are liking to come off the pace a little bit. Yeah, this is an answer question kind of race for Big Score. Is it that he doesn't always want to win, or does he have a class edge that will get him to the winner's circle here?
That's right. Yeah, that is the question. I think Big Squid, this is the best spot he's been in a while. So again, he deserves to be favorite. Getting back to the 2 horses on the inside, Croy, Javi Castellano drop gets on him on Tuesday, and Croy is always on the lead, and he's got very good form coming from Florida, certainly against cheaper. And then B Squared, if you look at B Squared, he certainly likes the turf. He's been going back and forth between turf and dirt. 2 races ago, he won a very good edition of the California Flag, beating good older sprinters on the grass. So B Squared, I think, is interesting. Now, unfortunately, I think it's his race to run where he's got to chase Croy, and will that kind of kill him a little bit late is the question. And if he doesn't run with Croy, Croy becomes a huge danger alone on the lead. So, but B Squared, I think, has the talent to win this as well. I'm going to go with Bowie's Hero, even though what I said about losing 3 straight times to Big Score is my top pick. But I think it's a wide open race, and one where, take a shot to beat the favorite. If Big Score is 8-5 in here, he certainly could win, but anything but a sure thing.
And if you're interested in Croy, as Brian described his running style, and you have to pick a jockey that's going to be good at rationing out the speed of a horse on the front end, nobody better than Javier Castellano in that situation.
And the fact that it's on grass doesn't hurt Castellano's skills and abilities one bit, Matt. As you mentioned, this is the start of a Lake Pick 4, the 6th race that runs through the 9th race. That's a $1 million guarantee Santa Anita is putting up for the last 4 races on Tuesday. So that's a bet you might want to take a long look at. The next graded stakes race on our list, Matt, grade 1s. Now we get to the grade 1s. Both are 7 furlongs. It'll be the fillies first, and the fillies really have attracted some big names in this La Brea, most notably Unique Bella and Paradise Woods.
Yeah, we got some big names in there, and Unique Bella is coming in off of a disappointing 7th place finish in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. I don't know. It was a curious race that Unique Bella ran in there. To me, it seemed like she was sent out way too fast early. In that kind of race, being that Unique Bella has been the kind of horse that has done well sitting just off of the pace. So, again, it's some questions to answer in there. Is Unique Bella the same Unique Bella, or can we just draw a line, or will it turn out to be draw a line through it kind of race? Because Unique Bella did not run the style that we're used to in there. So I would hope that Unique Bella is going to go back to sitting off the pace and making her big move. And then again, we got lots of speed in the race, and it's going to be Paradise Woods out there leading the charge.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. Actually, I'm really not sure what's going to happen in the pace of this race because there's a lot of speed. Paradise Woods has been routing of late, and her last 2 races are certainly strong, including a 3rd place finish in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. I don't think everybody ran their best race in the Breeders' Cup Distaff this year, but for Paradise Woods to stick around as well as she did against older mares, specifically. Abel Tasman and Forever Unbridled, I think was a very good performance, and I think she should get a lot of play. I do expect Unique Bella could still be favored in here on her reputation, on her sprint record. I agree she ran too fast. I think everyone agrees she ran too fast. And don't forget, Matt, Unique Bella looked a little headstrong. You pointed that out after the LA Woman when she returned after the long layoff. So maybe 2 races in a row where Smith had a little bit too much filly to handle early in the race, and that certainly cost her against the deep field in the Breeders' Cup filly mare sprint. So Unique Bella, I think on her best, is still probably the one to beat. She's never come from way out of it, Matt. I think even if they get her to run her race, she's going to be close to this pace. Paradise Woods, her best wins have been 2 turns where she's just dominated the race early. She's not going to get that here, so it'll be interesting if she can maybe just come stalk and pounce. But you got some fast fillies in here who don't have the big names of Unique Bella, Paradise Woods. I'm talking about horses like Miss Sunset, who's won 3 straight stakes races, including the Grade 2 Raven Run last time at Keeneland. Princess Karen was the one that chased Unique Bella last time and stuck around better than Unique Bella in the filly and mare sprint. She's a tough speed horse too. Even Fapien, who's been doing very well in graded stakes races, has enough speed to be right there. Some of the other fillies in the race who I think are interesting include Mopetism, who doesn't really seem to win, but she runs a lot of good races, and she certainly didn't run poorly in the Breeders' Cup as well. So she could be one that we look in 7 furlong races. We look for horses. When there's a real fast pace like this looks like it might be, we look for horses to come from off the pace. Mopetism could be one, and I'm going to throw out a crazy one. Just a Little Hope is stepping up in class for sure, but I really like the way she's running up late for Dan Hendricks, and she's a stone cold closer. 7 furlongs, ton of pace. I don't know if I can pick Just a Little Hope to win, but I'm certainly going to play her in the exotics as a big long shot.
Yeah, we're always looking for closers in 7 furlongs, and especially when there's pace in there, like there is in the La Brea, another race where we got horses with questions to answer, and they're not the only ones, and a lot of competition. So be a fun race.
Yeah, interesting race. And folks, I'll be using Just a Little Hope on the bottom, on the 2nd and 3rd primarily, and hope that she can rally in to the picture at 20-1. So it's not always about getting the winner, as our friend Jason Bottoms Mangrum likes to say. You get the horse that you feel good about rallying in. There's money to be made in those exotics as well. All right, Matt, the last graded stakes on Tuesday is the Malibu, also grade 1, 300,000, 7 furlongs. This time it's for the males. One of our favorite races of the year. I love the Malibu over the year. It's a nice mix of sprinters and horses who can run long, and horses who are about to have huge seasons as about to be 4-year-olds. And this is one interesting field. What a mix of, you got some California breds that can really sprint. You got some horses that are very highly regarded for big trainers that, for whatever reason, didn't quite make a huge splash last year at 3. You got Pavel, who I've been high on all along. And I think my top pick is going to be an undefeated horse from the Barnabout stall.
It's another one of those races where we've got horses with questions to answer, and we've got up-and-comers. We got a little East Coast. We got a little West Coast. And the Malibu, I always love 7 furlong races, but there's a lot going on, and we certainly have to start the discussion talking about Pavel, who is coming off of the Breeders' Cup Classic, where he ran a disappointing 10th place finish in there. Again, what went on there with Pavel? Was he a little tired after, a pretty strong fall campaign? I know Pavel has always been a horse that you like, Brian. And but now we're to the point where he hasn't won since that Smarty Jones at Parks earlier in the year. And cutting back to the 7 furlongs. So it's a big question. What are we going to see from Pavel in this race?
Yeah, Pavel will be one of my picks. I mentioned the Alstall's undefeated horse, who is CZ Rocket. But Pavel's one horse I have to use. I think he's got a ton of class, Matt, and I think he's sitting on a big year still. Let's say it like it was. He didn't lift a hoof in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and maybe it just was too much too soon and too much in a row for Pavel. He ran very good races in the Jim Dandy second career race, and he won a fast sprint early on. So we know he can sprint. Jim Dandy was the second race he ran well. Smarty Jones, he won for fun in his third race. The Jockey Club Gold Cup was his fourth race, and he ran very big in there. And then the Breeders' Cup Classic was just a bummer for Pavel. But I think he's the class of the race, and even dropping back to 7 furlongs, he's been training well. He is going to take some beating in here if he wasn't mentally discouraged by what happened to him last time. And I don't think Pavel's going. I don't think there's a clear favorite in here, so I don't think anybody's going to be too low. I'll talk about my other top pick, who's CZ Rocket. He's won at Saratoga, Keeneland, and Churchill in his short career. He's 3 for 3. He just looks like the real deal. And again, 7 furlongs, he has that closing kick that I like to see at this distance. So he's already proven at different tracks. Now he takes it to California for trainer Al Stall. I think CZ Rocket is probably a grade 1 type of horse, and I like him. Favorable outcome, Matt. I could see favorable outcome as the favorite from the barn of Chad Brown.
Yeah, and this is a horse that's lightly raced. Won an allowance race that got a really, really big number, one of the biggest speed figures that any horse in this race has run. And Chad Brown's got a reputation when he sends horses west like that, he's doing it for a good reason. He usually knows that these are kinds of horses that like the hard, fast track surface that he'll find at Santa Anita. So if he's sending them west, he's got the horse primed for this spot. So like you said, I think all of those things put together there means that horse is gonna get a lot of action. I like CZ Rocket in there also. This is a horse that's getting better and better. Speed figures are getting better and better throughout his career. Baffert's got Dabster in there also, $1 million yearling, young, lightly raced, obviously talented. Could be a good one too.
Yeah, we haven't talked too much about the Bafferts in here, and I think we need to. Just one more thing about favorable outcome. You remember he was on the Kentucky Derby Trail at one point. He was the winner of the Swale at 7 furlongs early this year. So, I think favorable outcome is a danger. I think I'm going to try to beat him in here, but he looks like he's rounding into form and should take a lot of play for Chad Brown. I think both Bafferts are interesting. Dabster has never been beaten. He was DQ'd in one race. He's also finished first in all 3 of his starts, and he looked good. Breeders' Cup weekend winning. He went right by a talented speed horse who's in the race, City of Light. So I think Dabster takes a lot of play, but I might like the other Baffert even better, or I'm afraid of the other Baffert even more, although I'm afraid of Dabster too. But Irish Freedom is interesting. Another horse who at one point was on the Derby Trail, like favorable outcome. He lost some time during the season with physical setbacks. But I like what he's done of late. He's been running against good older horses that basically are running in the San Antonio, and he's been holding his own in there. I think the drop down to 7 furlongs, Irish Freedom, after my top 2, might be the one I fear the most. He might be the one, other than Pavel, of course, who's almost dropping down in class a little bit.
Yeah, Brian, and I think I agree with you with the potential of CZ Rocket. Al Stall is a careful kind of trainer who picks his spots. And again, I think if Al Stall is sending CZ Rocket across the country, he's got to feel pretty good about his horse's chances in this race.
Yeah, so we mentioned about 5 horses who really should get bet, who are dangerous. And, if anybody's under 5-2, I think it's probably a mistake. I like who I like, but all 5 of those horses should get a lot of play. It makes for a very interesting race. We haven't mentioned Edwards Going Left, the Cowbred, who's really won some nice sprints of late. And City of Light was heavily favored against Dabster last time, and he got caught. He got run down late, but there could be some serious talent there for City of Light. So a real nice race, a real great card. It's the best card post Breeders' Cup probably that we've seen, and we hope you enjoy the opening day at the Great Race Place. Certainly one of the greatest racetracks in America and the world, and we're excited for opening day on Tuesday. You have time to handicap, and lots of great exotic bets like Matt mentioned. The $1 million guaranteed late pick 4 is one that we'll certainly be looking at a little bit. Matt, a lot going on in racing the last few weeks. Any parting shots or things that you need to mention about the world of racing right now?
Well, again, like you said, this card is on a Tuesday, so there's not much other action out there. All eyes, Thoroughbred Racing will be on Santa Anita for this Tuesday card. And as always, I want to thank the fans for watching the show. We'll be back in 2018, Brian Zipsey. And as always, I want to thank Brett Workman for producing our show.
Thank you to Brett, and thank you as always for watching. I want to thank our sponsor, Derby Wars, the best contest site out there. Again, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Horse Racing Nation. Have a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you all. And we're going to be talking Kentucky Derby. We're going to be talking Pegasus World Cup. So much to talk about when we come back in about a week and a half, as Matt said, in 2018. We'll see you then, folks.